Hi, I'm Robbie Moore and I am the Member of Parliament for Keighley and Ilkley. So welcome to Keighley. So the theme of today is crime and tackling crime head on, because I represent Keighley and Ilkley, and across the constituency we have big challenges, not only to do with crime but drug crime, gang related crime, and it is impacting residents, individuals, people in their homes across the constituency, but also businesses. And I get correspondence, like many other MPs across the country, specifically about how we, as the Conservative Party, as that party of law and order, are going to kick crime out. Because the election seems like a while ago now, back in December, and of course other issues like the coronavirus pandemic have come to the forefront. But what we can't forget is we've got to get to grips with these issues head on. I think back to a meeting which I had with a dad who came into one of my Zoom calls about a month ago, 2 months ago now, and he said to me in tears that his 13-year-old son had come home from interacting with his mates and said, "Look, Dad, I know exactly what I want to be when I'm older, and that is a drug dealer." That just illustrates the real challenge that we have. And this 13-year-old wanted to be a drug dealer because he knows that he might earn lots of money. So there's a real issue to do with aspiration and raising that aspiration, not only here in Keighley but in other places like this across the country. And we've got to tackle this head on by showing that we mean business. We stood on a manifesto promise to get 20,000 more police back on the streets, and we're already seeing this across West Yorkshire and other places across the country, but we need to keep that going and reassure residents, businesses, that we are on their side. We have their back, and we are not going to tolerate issues like antisocial behaviour, like drug dealing, like alcohol being consumed on the streets, like gatherings going on in an antisocial behaviour fashion. We've got to deal with across community, across education sectors, across the police forces, dealing with county lines to really crack down and deal with these issues, so we can provide that reassurance to local residents, to businesses, that we are on their side and have their back. So I'm going to spend a bit of time talking to some of the independent businesses that we've got here in Keighley to see what they think and to see how crime and drug related issues are impacting their businesses. So we're just at the back of Cavendish Street, and we get a lot of residents contacting us from the flats above and from the shops here, constantly talking about the issues to do with alcohol, a lot of drug dealing going on, and dare I say it, a lot of other worse things going on. And it's unfair for everyone that's living in the flats above, but also there's some really good independent shops down Cavendish Street, and they've actively taken the approach of boarding up their back doors so they're not taking any access from behind the rear of their shops when they could do, but they're not doing because of security issues.
I'm involved with both businesses here. So obviously this business here doesn't have any access to the rear. We made sure of that. We wanted to seal that off. Virtually every other week we had to phone somebody to say we found needles or fouling of the pavements, etc. So the back is just an awful place to be. As a business, from both businesses, I do think it puts people off. We're trying to sell reasonably high-end electrical goods, good quality kitchens, so we're wanting to attract a certain quality of person into the showrooms. And consequently, if the groups of people out there smoking, bunching together, not necessarily drugs but drinking, I've got to be honest, it's off-putting. I wouldn't want to particularly walk down. I think the point is at the moment that they kind of know that, well, they're just going to get a bit of a telling off. They're not going to get a tough sentence on it.
My husband he said every time he goes out, it's been really, really bad lately. But I think it's because there's nobody to stop them and that,
How can we sort it out?
More policing, really, because we don't get any police in the town at all. It's just ruining the town, really.
There's no physical police presence in Keighley.
Yeah.
We have the radio. The 102 stores have a radio, but we don't use it because they're supposed to be able to press a button and supposed to have response within 5 minutes, but we never do. end of the day, he's just a young lad who's dealing. It's the guy above there that you need
Yeah,
to
so
find.
further up the chain.
There's no point. There's no point in tougher sentences on. There's always somebody else who's going to take over that position.
I don't think people are going to look at the window display if they have to stand next to somebody who's clearly on drugs or under the influence of alcohol. There's a huge difference between where I live and where I work. I don't think bigger sentences isn't going to fix the problem.
Right.
You hear that there's a lot of problems in prisons and things like that as well. It has to be elsewhere where you fix it. So it's off from the ground, like make sure that there's people that they can turn to talk to and work with them to solve the problem. I think we're a great town.
Yeah.
I think we give ourselves a lot of bad press and we're not as bad as what we say we are. We are better than that, for definite.